Good morning, everyone, and welcome to St James and Sunday School this morning. My name's Jan Scrap. I'm the Children and Youth Minister here. Can you think of something that everyone needs, really needs? Thought of something? Do you think everyone has that thing whenever they need it? Do you? It's an interesting question. Well, today I've settled at the top of the mountain. I've done some hard walking to get up here, and I've got a comfortable blanket to sit on. Maybe if I need it, I can get out a snack. Got my bag. I'm settled at the top of the mountain. Remember, when we're at the top of the mountain, we can look to see what we can see. All the land that we can see is God's kingdom. Jesus talked about God's kingdom to the people on the mountain, didn't he? And who's in charge in God's kingdom? That's right, God. Jesus was teaching the people on the mountain about how we can make earth closer to truly being God's kingdom. Remember those people that he was teaching? They were poor. Sometimes things weren't going their way, but they were listening to Jesus because Jesus was telling them that theirs was the kingdom of heaven, that God really was there for them. Well, today we're looking at 2 verses from the Beatitudes. We've only been doing one each week up to now. So we'll do 2 activity sheets, and you can choose if you just want to colour one in today. But the verses we're doing come from Matthew chapter 5, verses 6 and 7. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Let's look at those. Can you read them with me? Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Remember, each of the Beatitudes starts with a statement about a group of people who are blessed, and then Jesus makes a promise about what will happen to them. Very often he turns things upside down and makes them a little less like people think they are in the world. So the first one. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. And the promise, for they will be filled. So how does it feel to be really, really hungry or thirsty? Can you remember ever feeling like that? Can you remember really, really needing food or a drink? How did it make you feel? Have you ever felt that you really, really needed something other than food or drink? Hunger can be an ache inside that grows and gets stronger, and it's very hard to ignore or forget. Many of the people that Jesus was talking to in this passage were hungry. They needed food and water, but their stomachs were not the only things that hungered. Their hearts were hungry for righteousness. That's a big word. What it means is they wanted justice or fairness. Jesus wanted the world to be a place where people lived good lives, not only for their own sake, but for everyone else. Remember last week we heard that we are God's children and everyone else is a child of God too. Jesus taught that God's justice means we make sure everyone has what they need. The poor people Jesus was speaking to knew what it was like to be poor and hungry and have no power. He knew they ached for a better world, God's kind of world. Jesus knew their hearts were hungering for relationships and systems to be fair and right. for justice, for righteousness. Just like we need food in order to live, we need love, hope, and healthy connections with other people. Sometimes we see people who don't have one of these things. Perhaps they need food, but maybe they also need someone to listen to them or to help them. When we really care about their problems and work hard to help, even if it takes a long time, then we hunger and thirst for righteousness, just like this verse says. When we're feeling hungry for the world to be a better and healthier than it is, and we work to help, we are helping bring God's kingdom to earth. Our first activity sheet today, with the colouring for blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Jesus promises that we hunger and thirst for these things. It will work out. Has some questions on it. Maybe you can look at them at home. I'm interested to know if you think there's an issue of justice or fairness you are hungry to see made right. Is there something in the world that you can see is wrong and not fair? You wish it was better. And if that's the case, do you know what you might do to help? What might you do to make sure that God's kingdom comes here on earth? We can all do something. So before we move on to our second verse, here we are sitting on top of our mountain and listening to Jesus. You looked around. What can you see down in the valley, down below the mountain? Maybe you could stretch and fidget a bit before we hear the next verse that Jesus told the people. Just to fidget a bit, eh? He said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy." That was in Matthew chapter 5, verse 7. Can you remember a time when you received kindness when you did something hurtful? Maybe you said something unkind to your brother or sister or to a friend, and they used words to say they were upset, but forgave you and still wanted to play. How did that feel? How does it feel if you make a mistake and someone responds harshly, maybe raising their voice or getting cross with you? What a story about this, about how we can treat other people. Finn and Micah were good friends. They played at Micah's house at least once a week after school. Their favourite activities were jumping on the trampoline, playing with action figures, and cooking. One day, after Finn went home, Micah realised that one of his favourite action figures was missing. The next day, Micah saw its arm sticking out of Finn's backpack. When Micah asked him about it, Finn said, "That's mine. My mum gave it to me this morning." Micah answered, "Finn, it has my initials on its foot." Finn looked afraid and sad and angry all at once. Micah could tell that Finn didn't know what to do or say. Micah thought about his options. He could tell a grown-up, which is always a good choice. He could yell at Finn and yank the toy back harshly. Or he could try to settle the problem with mercy first. He decided on mercy, and he said to himself, "If this doesn't work, I'm getting a grown-up." "Finn, I would like my toy back, but I want you to understand, I know you really like it, and you made a mistake. We can play with it again at my house this Wednesday, okay?" Finn answered quietly, "Okay," and he handed the toy back to Micah. Like Finn and Micah, every day we have opportunities to choose to be merciful, or to choose harsh responses. When we choose mercy, we are kind and we treat people how we want to be treated. When we are harsh, we can hurt someone else, as well as hurting ourselves. Mercy does not mean we let other people treat us badly or cross our boundaries. Mercy is not about being okay with mean behaviour, and it's still okay to tell someone stop and to get help if we need it. Having mercy means remembering everyone is God's beloved child who needs love and mercy and help. And it means looking in the mirror and remembering we are God's beloved child and need kindness too. Jesus wanted everyone to know this because God is merciful too. He wants to offer us love and mercy and help. When we make mistakes, God forgives us when we say sorry. God knows that we don't mean it. God is always there and willing to be merciful. When you look at our second sheet today, there are more questions. Can you think of a time when someone else has shown mercy to you? Maybe been kind to you when they could have been cross? How did that make you feel? Can you think of a way you have or could show mercy to someone else? Would that make you feel good? Would it make them feel good? Maybe it would remind them that God loves them too. Thank you to everyone who sent in prayers for our prayer pumpkin this week. I got quite a lot. I've written some of them on and I'll save some till next week. But we've got thank you for Grandma and Grandpa, for all our friends who we get to see and those who we don't get to see. We've got prayers for justice, for the creatures and this beautiful planet, for a fair and peaceful election process. We've got prayers for wisdom. We've got being thankful for ballet and for the woods and the creatures there. We've got prayers for happiness and peace. I'll read some more next week. And if you think of any prayers you want us to add to our prayer pumpkin, email them to me and I'll make sure I do that because look, we've still got space. But it's good to think of all the things that we're thankful for and all the things we want to pray for, all the things that we want to tell God about. So let's finish with our echo prayer, shall we? I'll say a line and you can repeat it after me. And we'll remember at the same time all the prayers that we've put on our pumpkin. Are you ready? Let us pray. Loving God, thank you for your mercy and unbreakable love, which hold us close to your heart no matter what we do or feel. Please help us to be merciful this week. We want to treat each person as you do and show your mercy in all situations. Keep us connected to you and to each other. Amen. Have a good week, everybody. Keep sending your prayers. Thank you for all of those I got this week, and I'll put some more on because I know I haven't got them all on here yet. And we will. I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.